The Adventure in Transylvania Bricklink Designer Program Series 5 entry just might be one of the most ambitious LEGO models ever created by the user, creator, author, visionary, Sleepless Night. This 4,056 edifice to mankind's hubris in the construction toy industry has not only sold the most units from the Bricklink Designer Program, it's not only sold the most quickly, but it is probably the most anticipated Bricklink set that's ever been created. And with all that fanfare, let's take a look at this possibly, well, I'm not going to use any other word, exquisite display piece. Now, in my previous video, I was admittedly a little bit down on it, mainly because I found the first maybe fifth or quarter of the construction experience not that engaging, but as a complete model, this is nothing short of extraordinary. And I want to go through some of the building techniques, some of the play features, some of the awesomeness of this set. And I want to talk you through the almost like the narrative that's also built into this set as well, because I find that really, really interesting. On top of the 4,056 pieces, you also have 13 or 15 minifigures, depending on who you ask and how you categorize minifigures and how they fit into the overall ambiance or set, I suppose. So looking at the front, as you've got here, we've got this staircase which brings you up into this main tower, and then the interior is broken down into 3 or 4 different sections. So as you can see, it opens just like this. And if anything, it gives you a completely different sort of view of the model. So it condenses together quite succinctly like this. It becomes quite square and compact and blocky, giving it a smaller footprint. But when you widen it out and expose the insides like so, you not only get an entirely different view from the front, but it displays a completely different image of what this set is. Because on, well, I suppose this is your right-hand side, you have the entryway into a haunted mansion. On the right-hand side, you have this edifice to sort of Gothic cathedral building of the late Middle Ages and almost maybe the Victorian impersonations that came with the neo-Gothic architecture in the 19th century. And inside you have sort of 4 distinct areas to look at. But let's talk about the exterior first. So as we were saying, you have this staircase that makes your way up into this main tower here, and lots of lovely dark red building blocks and masonry bricks and detailing here. One of the things that I really like about the staircase is these banisters here. And the building technique for them is actually quite extraordinary. That what Sleepless Night has done, he's actually used vines and parts of like fangs and teeth that you'd find on monsters or creatures that make up claws or, as I said, teeth, and really incorporated them into creating this very neo-Gothic style of banister. And if we just hold that up to the camera here, hopefully you can see that, where we've got these vine pieces here that create this fantastic sort of neo-Gothic aesthetic. And we'll just pop that back on here. And I'm just going to pop this back on in real time because this is something that I do want to bring up a little bit later in the video about how this side of things go together. There you go, pops it back in there. And this is sort of mirrored in these other banister parts here too. Really, really clever stuff. We've got some spires here. We've got a little lamppost. We've also got a little swing out lamppost, sort of a lantern on the side here. Again, using that vine part as a bit of a display feature or a architecture or decoration or whatever you want to call it. So moving around the building itself, as we come over to the sort of dead garden in the front, we've got a gravestone here and we've got a sign pointing to the town. And we'll have a look at those separately. Over at the front here, you've got, as I look through it from the back, this absolutely fantastic window effect. And I don't quite know how, well, just the time and the effort that must have gone into sort of creating this and trialing and erroring. As we have a look around the side, you've got these massive bars that come up here. And one of the really, really great features that I really like about the window design is if we go to this side as well, I'll just have to look over it here. We've got these Lego Technic cogs that create this archway just behind this tree. Just really, really inspired sort of piece choice and design. It's utterly fantastic. And coming around, well, let's talk about this little sort of bay outcropping here as well, with the little bats on the top and the bats underneath. This isn't actually accessible from inside the piece itself, so this is definitely just a, I say like an outward display piece, but unfortunately, because of the way it's built, there's a little pole through it, so you can't put a display figure in there if you wanted to. Speaking of outcroppings here, something that you can place a figure in is this glorious spire here. Really, really odd building technique. When I saw the picture of this, I wasn't 100% convinced of how stable it would be, or how I wasn't sure how it would look being put onto the side. I thought it looked a little bit kind of bare bones on the images, but in person, it's fantastic. And I will touch on this in a second, what's just happened there. Now, you can actually put a minifigure in there, so let's choose one of the extra minifigures we got. Let's choose Dracula, and you can actually, if you've got very, very tiny hands, you can actually place him inside, and I can't actually get in there, and I've actually just broken something. So maybe this is one slight criticism of the piece, but we'll get onto it in a second. One of the things that I really do want to point out as well is this little guy here. So this, what do we call this? We call this a grotesque. So a gargoyle is a statue very similar to these that you see on cathedrals and old houses, but they have a channel going through the mouth where the water runs out, and they make the gargling sound, hence the name gargoyle. This, if it's just a little statue of a monster on the top of a building without the ability for water to run through it, it is called a grotesque. Lovely little grotesque on the top. And there's actually another one hidden in here. Turning the set around, let's look at the other parts of the exterior here, and we've got some delightful foliage, and you'll have seen this on the other side as well. All of these reds and oranges and yellows look absolutely fantastic and give it this real Halloween-y kind of aesthetic. It goes so well together. I do have the treehouse just over there, and when I was torn between using the autumnal colors or the spring and summer colors for the leaves, I chose the autumnal. I just think it looks so much better, and they've done a really, really fantastic job here with the foliage and the placement, and even actually some really, really clever ways to display the foliage. So there's actually like a little almost like fishing line here that goes all around down this bit here, just to create the notion of vines, which is really cool. So I think the side that I'm showing you right now, again, we've got another tree here, a little archway through that doesn't really do anything, but hopefully you can see the look of this spire on the side here. And if we just, whoops, what, that flipping thing came off again. And if we just show you that angle while I place this back on, just Gothic architecture all the way through. Just absolutely amazing. Now we've covered the outside, let's take a look at the interior, and it opens up like so. And as you can see here, we have 4 or 5 different rooms. And what I really like about this set and the display and the play features inside is that it actually tells a story as you make your way through the mansion. So the characters begin. Let's choose a minifigure. We'll choose our very own Abraham Van Helsing. So the characters can make their way all the way up the steps over here, through this door that opens. They can come through here, and immediately they find themselves in this room here. So this is, let's call it the hallway, shall we? And I can place Mr. Van Helsing just there. Good job he's actually stood there, because if he was slightly over, this is the first play set play feature that comes through, there is in fact a trap door here. Now the trap door will drop your character. Let's just pop him on there for a second. The trap door will drop your character down into the prison below. Dun, dun, dun! And you can actually open this door here. Let's have a look over. And you can extract the characters. I can do it from that side a lot easier, don't worry. So we're going to keep him in there for now. So this hallway actually incorporates the 14th of the 15 minifigures. It's this chap here. It's a knight, which for some reason has a shield with a sticker on. I don't quite understand why they did that, but whatever. So, oh god, I can see this gathering dust already. The black shows the dust more. Not quite sure why. So that's the little trapdoor function there. Now down below is the library. Now one of the first criticism that I have with this set is that we've got these 3 or 4 fantastic rooms to look in, but all of these big long black, the kind of quite thick beams to support the structure itself, they sort of enclose these really lovely detailed areas, and you maybe can't get quite as good a look at them or accessible in terms of play features as you would like. I did think that there was maybe a possibility that this could have turned into some kind of modular playset, because there is actually a modular feature on here. But in terms of getting all of this architecture to collaborate and actually work with the modular style of picking bits off and what have you, I can see that it wouldn't be entirely feasible. But in the library, we have a couple of books stashed on the library wall inside, and we even have a little lectern here. And inside the library, we have, in fact, let's just see if we can pull them out without destroying the bookshelf. Oh no, they're not in there. They are over here somewhere. So in the library, we do actually have 2 collectible books. The first one is the Once Upon a Time book, and if you, it's just got the generic sort of tree on the front, and if you open it up, it does have the Once Upon a Time tile in there. The second book is something we actually covered in the previous video. Let me just see if I can get it out of the library for you. No, we didn't store it in there, so where's it gone? Oh dear, have we lost it? No. No, here we go. Found it. Sorry, this is a little bit all. If this is a little bit all over the place, this is really my first time reviewing a full big Lego set. And the other book is the Magia Posthuma. So this was a treatise based on, writing about vampires and other supernatural creatures, first published by Olmutz in 1706. And this book was really the inspiration, or a lot of the founding lore for a lot of modern sci-fi horror. Potentially Mary Shelley read this, but we do know that Bram Stoker definitely did. So that's the Magia Posthuma as well, which both have slots in the bookshelf in the library. Let's move over to foliage that falls off, which again is a little frustrating. Before we move to the next room, let's just talk about the structural integrity of this set, shall we? Because there's a lot of stuff that is fantastic, but a lot of it is kind of held on with a bit of a wing and a prayer. So especially these bits of foliage that stick out here, if you nudge them the wrong way, they can go a little bit askew. And the other bit is like this section here on the archway, on the staircase rather. This section here is just phenomenally unstable. You can still you can still just kind of take this off and away it goes, and it's not really what you want from that. It's got a cool little Easter egg there. It's got the urn containing the ashes of Mina Murray, but there we go. So that's just, like I said, some of it isn't as stable as it could be, so just take care, okay? While we're talking about the stability as well, a lot of people have sort of raised concerns about this section on top of the roof. So this is very, very close towards the end of the building process. that you have to kind of get your hands in to you have to push this last bit down on top of, I think it's just like a single spaced wide long piece. So you just have to be a little bit delicate there just to make sure that you get it in place and it actually locks in correctly. So just a couple of little structural hithers and thithers there to be aware of. Now, moving over to the next side of the build is probably, let's talk about this open space first. Now, there are a couple of features here that we can talk about. The first is the dropping chandelier. Now, I can't actually find the rotational gizmo for it. Oh, wait, it's right there. So this chandelier actually drops down like so, and you should be able to see that poetry in motion there. Now, mine doesn't crash to the ground as it has shown in videos, and this is something that I've actually found about a lot of the play features in this set. Maybe it's the way that I've built them or just how they're supposed to be, is that they're not actually as freeform as they look in the promos. The other thing to note, actually, as well, while we're on this, is this room here. Now, this is probably one of the main display or the main play features of this set, with the tomb, and it's got some fantastic detailing. There's like the stickers, the chalices, the candles, the little jug full of wine. It's all lost in this boxy enclosure, so you really have to kind of get your eyes in to take a look at it. And having said that, you know, it's because a lot of this is sort of black and grey and dark, it doesn't sort of like leap out at you, so you do have to kind of get your head in there to have a little bit of a look. But check this out. As you wind it, our man pops out from the grave, and he goes back down like so. So if you try to use this during the building process, that some of the gears will pop out and it won't work properly. You need to build the entire thing just to get the weight and the stability of all the other pieces around you or around the mechanism to get it to work properly. That's the only slight thing to be aware of there. So if it's not sticking in place while you're building, you're not doing it wrong. It's just how the build process is. Speaking of the build process, I know I've seen other videos where people have said, oh, the instructions are wrong. There's a couple of little bits where the instructions either duplicate stuff or there's a bit that isn't quite right, but use your brain. It's not terribly hard to figure out what they're supposed to be doing there, okay? Finally, this large room here. Oh no, we've talked about this room. This large room also has this organ piece here, which again is just a little bit lost because it's tucked away in a corner. And we've got a lot of studded floor panels inside it to place characters, but because I'm quite big and I've got quite big hands, it can be a little bit difficult for me to get my hands all the way in there. As we were saying, there is kind of a story to what goes on with this set, and it all culminates at this tower here. There is a ladder as we go up to the top here, and in sort of reference to sort of like the modular style, this little bit pops off, and in this room here we find another grotesque guarding a treasure chest, and it's got a little cup in, and there's a few coins scattered around and about. So it seems like, you know, the story could be all of these adventurers or people who are coming to this mansion, this haunted mansion, have to be wary of Dracula in the crypt here, and they have to make their way all the way up to the tower to get to the hidden treasure. And it's even guarded by a little spider and his web. And this little tower bit just sort of pops back on in the way that a lot of the modular builds do. So that is a brief overview of the house, and to show you the things that are in there. I know there are other videos who have gone into depth. I only have one camera, and I'm not very good at the B-roll stuff, but we'll build on that. So that's the set itself. Again, just now it's built, I find it absolutely extraordinary. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So this is the build. Now, we do have 13 figures. We've got, I'm not going to go into too much depth with them, they're fine. We've got Precocious Child. We have Shocked Man. We have a chef for some reason. We've got Ye Oldie Worldy Explorer Man. We've got Fancy Man with a Cane. We've got Bookish Librarian. We've got Yeehaw Gunslinger Man. We've got, I'm going to call her the Cynical Explorer. She reminds me a lot of Dana Scully for some reason, so we'll pop her there. Then we've got mildly shocked middle-aged woman with a satchel. Then we have second, slightly less precocious child. And I think that's about it for the main sets. And of course we have our Abraham Van Helsing that we had a look at a little bit earlier, who's locked inside the dungeon at the moment. So there's not really any hope for him. But what you can do, and what I've seen a lot of people do with these sets is around the minifigure selection. A lot of people wanted some people wanted a more traditional Halloween type thing. You know, a few more spooky figures. And what's really great is you can actually pick some of those up, like Evil Wizard. Now this is a CMF, like Basil the Batlord from, I think, Series 25, so he's going to find a home in here as well. We've got a good wizard, so these two could potentially have a standoff. We've got Dracula himself, another Dracula. Oh, we did miss one minifigure out. We have got the bride of the guy in the crypt down below, and she's got this really cool sort of ghost legs thing, really spooky. I actually really vibe that. Then you could pop another ghost in for the spook factor, and then and then we've got Bride of Dracula as well there. So there's some great options if you wanted to just drop a little bit of money on some extra figures. You can really sort of bring this environment to life with your own figures here. So that is my kind of review of the Adventure in Transylvania. Fantastic set. The build process is a pain in the ass, but as someone said to me about the Bricklink Designer Program, it is definitely about the journey, not the destination. And based on my experience with the build process compared to official LEGO sets, I would tend to agree with that. The finished product is fantastic. The build process it's okay. Like, it gets you there, you know, but I didn't find it as enjoyable as I did other LEGO sets. Having said that, as I say, this is flipping great. It cost £299 on the Bricklink Designer Program. It now goes for between £350 and £400 on the second-hand market. I don't really have anything more to say about it, really. There are some... Oh, actually, one more thing. Let's talk about Easter eggs quickly. So there is a gravestone here labeled JH. Now, this is Jonathan Harker, who is Mina's husband in Dracula. So there are a lot of really cool little nods to Dracula here. This gravestone here says, what does it say? AVH, so that's Abraham Van Helsing, the crazy Dutch doctor in the Dracula novel. And I did say there was one around here as well. There's an urn just in here, and it says WM, which is Wilhelmina Murray. So Murray was the maiden name of Mina Harker, Jonathan Harker's wife. And I suppose we'll end this video with that slight kind of nod to sort of gothic romance, that even though both of these characters perished in this set, they've both been laid to rest not too far from each other. And I think on that note, we'll leave it there. Let me know what you think about this set and any questions you might have. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time I have some LEGO to build. Stay frosty. Bye.